Hey, thanks for showing up. I'm excited about this class. First of all, I'm excited because it's my first one. I haven't done one of these before. But the better reason, the real reason I'm excited about is because I really enjoy helping people put their best foot forward. And whether that's in sports or in life or in buying a house, gets me excited to help other people get to the top of their game in whatever game they're playing. And and we all know that being prepared for something is going to set you up far better than not being prepared for it. Taking a test, preparing dinner, buying a house, buying a car, whatever that may be, and it's exciting to me to be able to help you prepare for this in really the biggest everything that you're going to do. Buying a house is the biggest purchase, biggest financial purchase, probably the biggest loan you're going to have, probably the biggest negotiation process that you're going to have, the biggest inspection. You're going to have an inspector come out, biggest decisions that you're going to make, and you're going to have to make them in a pretty rapid time frame. Once we go into contract, things go fast, and you're going to need to be ready to go for these decisions that you're going to make. So hence the thinker. I want to help you think about this, and maybe better said, maybe less of a class, but maybe I'm preparing a philosophy of how to sell, a way to think about how to sell, so that when those decisions come, when that time comes to deal with an inspection, an electric issue, and we got 2 days to deal with it, that we've got a philosophy behind us to make that decision. So you can buy a house, you can sell a house without planning, and a lot of people do it. A lot of people fall in love with a house, and they go grab an agent, and the next thing you know, they're under contract, off and running. And it works. It works. But it works kind of like when you fall in love with your beloved, and you're driving to the church, and you call up a pastor, and you call up a wedding coordinator, and you say, we're on our way, we're going to do this. And a pastor and a wedding coordinator and mom and dad, they can pull it off. And you'll have a wedding, you'll get married, and it'll be fine. But you can do it so much better if you spent maybe a couple months beforehand thinking about how you wanted to have that wedding, and kind of thinking about your philosophy of what do you want to have. Do you want a high price wedding? Do you want to have a low price? What do you want to focus on during your wedding? So that is what I want to give you during this class. So let me tell you my story. So here's my story, and I really believe that this slide is probably the most important slide in the whole slide deck of how to buy or sell a house. And here's why. Because a good transaction, any type of transaction, any type of major transaction, a good type of transaction requires that you know, like, and trust the person that you're doing that with. Now, maybe not. If you're going to the store and buying bread, maybe not. But if you have a complex transaction, maybe buying a car, you want to trust that used car salesman, right? You don't want to be buying a used car from some guy that you don't know and that you certainly don't like or certainly don't trust. And it's even more true with the biggest purchase of your life, buying a house. So you want somebody that you know, like, and trust. Okay, so let me tell you a story. So how did a military guy end up in this Quaker town? So 25 years ago, joined the Navy, and it was awesome, and I loved it. And I was a explosive ordnance disposal officer, Navy bomb squad. Had a blast. It was great. But I knew I wanted to get out, and I knew I wanted to come home. I was a little tired of bouncing from place to place to place and not establishing community, not establishing the depth of community that I wanted. And so before we got out, we wanted to go serve for a year. After we got out, we wanted to go serve for a year, have a kind of a year sabbatical before coming home. And we're going to go overseas, but COVID hit right at 2020, and we weren't going anywhere outside the U.S. But Mexico, we were in San Diego, and Mexico was literally 15 minutes down the road. So we said, you know what? I think we can make it to Mexico for a year, and if we have to flee back, I think we can make this. So Mexico is awesome. We served with an orphanage, served with a home building ministry, had a great cultural experience. My kids loved it. Played soccer all the time. They turned Mexican over those 4 years. But the problem was it wasn't my community, and my family and my community and our family is here up in Newburgh. So we decided we decided to head home in July, August of 2024, get plugged into schools back here and raise our family back here in Oregon. It's tough. But what was most important to me in coming back was community and the community aspect. And I thought, man, I want to do something that drives community and that derives being known here in Newburgh. And I can, what can I do? I'm kind of an introvert. What can I do? I could go be a doctor. I could go be a dentist. I don't want to go back to school. But I had an advantage. In the last 15 years, I had been investing in real estate for myself. So I have a number of single family, duplex, fourplex, threeplex. I've done some real estate lending. So I've been investing in myself. But wait a minute, what if I take that knowledge, I get licensed as a realtor, and then I can help invest in other people and help them invest either in their own personal home or in investments. So that's what I did. I envisioned a community where I can bump into people in Fred Meyer's, where I can help, where I can do many things outside simply real estate, where I can take your high school kids, your college kids down to Mexico for 1 week service trip. And I envision being and working and living in that community with people that I see and know, and that I know and like and trust. So what makes me excited about that is I'm able to, because I know, like, and trust people, because I'm in that community, I'm able to offer creative solutions with the people that I know, like, and trust. And that makes me really excited. It's not just buying a house in a linear process. Okay, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, done. But really finding creative solutions to house buying, whether that's finance, whether that's inspection, whatever that may be. So write this down. Most important slide of the deck. We do business with the people that we know, that we like, and that we trust. Okay, next we're going to talk about the real estate market. So I want to give you a new concept, and that is the for you concept. So without fail, every time I sit down with somebody, they always ask me the same question. They say, John, what should I do? And I always answer it the same. And I say, I can't tell you what to do. That is something that you have to decide. And I can support you in that. I will help you in that. I will help you see the various pathways. But you are the only one that can decide what you should do based off of your and your family's wants, needs, financial goals. All the thing that you and your family want, you need to sift that out, and I'll help you sift it out, and then determine what to do. I can only support you. I, as your agent, don't determine what you ought to do. I will only help you determine what is, and then give you avenues, assuming that they're moral and ethical and legal. I will give you moral, ethical, and legal avenues that are pathways that you can go down so that you determine what you ought to do, and I will then help you through that. Okay. So the other question that I get all the time is, how's the market? And they're closely tied, because how is the market isn't a legit question unless you determine how is the market for you. So let's look at our slide here. Most realtors, when you ask, how's the market, they will respond in one way. And they'll say, the market's great. It's awesome. Why do they say that? The reason they say that is because they know, we all know, that the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. If you wanted a tree, best time to plant is 20 years ago. Well, what's the second best time to plant? Second best time is today. So by saying, hey, the market is great, what they're saying is, if you want to buy or sell, the best time to have done it, best time to have bought in Newburgh, 20 years ago, by far. 10 years ago, by far. But what's the second best time? Looking at our trend here, the second best time is today. So my family and I, look at the end of this little graph here. Look at right there. my family and I bought a house and a car right at that point, at the peak of the market. How was it for us? It was great. It was great, and we're very happy we did it. Why? Because for us, that was the time that we needed a house, and that was the time that we needed a car. We were down in Mexico, and our minivan was getting the snot beat out of it. And so we needed a four-wheel drive lifted vehicle, and we got a Highlander. We also had got out of the Navy, and we needed a house so we could come back to Newburgh and be with our family and community. And and for us, it was a great time. Was it financially? No, I certainly wish I had done it a few months or a few years before. But for us, it was a great investment. So rather than thinking about, well, hey, is this a good deal? Is this house a good deal? Oh, am I getting a good deal on this house? What ought I do? Rather think about it based off of my own personal wants, needs, desires, future desires. What is it best for my family? And that answer, and if you can think about that, that answer is going to be different for every single person and every single family. I can't just take you down one pathway that's good for everybody. I have to sit down with you and sit down with coffee and sit down days, weeks, months before you even start looking at a house and helping you process through what is the best house, what is the best car, what is the best decision. Maybe it's not having a house, maybe it's renting. I've counseled many people that, hey, you're probably we could help you buy, but an alternative is renting, and that may be a far better situation for you, Mr. New College graduate, that doesn't have a whole lot of down payment and doesn't have a really solid job and might go bounce to Portland or Salt Lake City or LA in the next 6 months, and you probably don't want a house here in Newburgh that's going to hold you down. Okay, so this thread of for you is going to weave itself throughout our talk, and we will continue to think about this as we go through. Okay, I want to hit the point home with one of my favorite movie lines. For those that haven't seen it, it's Alice in Wonderland. Little poor Alice is falling down the rabbit hole. She's wandering in a deep, dark forest, and she comes to a fork in the road. Doesn't know where to go. And she sees a cat, and the cat says, Cheshire Cat, would you please tell me, Mr. Cat, which way I ought to go from here? The cat says, well, it depends a good deal on where you want to get to. I don't really care, said Alice. And it doesn't matter which way you go. So I'm happy to drive your show. I'm happy to drive your home buying show. I'm happy to tell you which way to go. I'm happy to tell you which college to go to or study or what to study or what kind of pet to get. But the cost of that, the cost of not thinking through, not having a philosophy of what kind of education you want, what kind of life you want to live, what kind of man or woman you want to be. The cost of that is somebody else drives the show and you're not putting your best foot forward. Like I said on slide 1, I'm going to get excited about helping people put their best foot forward. And so I can drive the show and be fine and be great. I get paid for it. But I'm not getting the excitement out of it. And I'm not helping you the way that I feel like I can best help you. And that is help you put your best foot forward and help you think about this process so that the destination, when Alice gets to the end of the trail, she is happy about where she ended up and not just said, oh, well, I don't really care where I ended up. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the best for you home buying or selling process. And you've probably seen something like this before. It's a basic list of the steps in order to get from thinking about that home to finding a selection, cleaning up the home, trimming the grass, getting it staged, list it, go through the showings, go through the offer process, get a home inspection, renegotiate based off of the home inspection, and then cha-ching, close. Here's something that's probably new to you. And that's, look at the top. That's your level of control in the process. Nowhere in this process do you have more control than right at the start. You're under no pressure. You're under very little pressure. You haven't picked an agent yet. You haven't listed your home on the market. and you have full control over that process. Now, what will happen is once you either, if you're buying, start looking for a home, or selling and start seeing showings and offers, is things will start to happen really, really quickly, like far quicker than you expected. And suddenly we'll get 3 offers that we need to make a decision on by 6 o'clock tonight, and then I need to notify the listing agents or the agents by 9 o'clock tonight. Or we'll suddenly get our inspection report, and then the buyers will have 3 days to give feedback on the inspection report, and then they give us things they want to fix, and we'll have 24 hours to go through the rigmarole of either agreeing to it, denying it, or getting it fixed. So things are going to start moving really, really fast. As you progress down this, things are going to move really, really fast. And so the takeaway is back to the importance of knowing what you want. The takeaway for this is that I, as your agent, or any agent that you work with, need to know what your perspective is and what is most important to you in the process. Is the most important thing in the process getting the most money out of it? And are you willing to, in order to try to get the most money out, risk it possibly falling out of escrow and maybe selling it to somebody else? How much energy are you willing to put forward on going through the rigmarole, going through the hassle, going through the risk if money is your top priority? And that's fine. If money is your top priority, then we will focus on money. But maybe it's also convenience. Maybe you don't want to have your house listed on the market for 6 or 8 months. Maybe you don't want it to, maybe you want to work with the person buying and smooth that process so that they don't just walk away after they've put in an offer, and you won't fix any of the items that are issues on the house. So back to your philosophy, having your perspective will help your agent, whoever you're working with, will guide you along that process so that you are in keeping with what your original intent were back before you selected an agent and back before we started moving really fast. Okay, so next one is we're going to talk about the best agent. Okay, let's talk about agency. And what is an agent? Well, it's not this guy right there. So I want to go legal. I'm going to give you some legal terms first, and then we'll talk about how this works in real life. So an agent is somebody that works on behalf of a principal. So the principal is you. The principal is the home buyer or home seller. And the agent is somebody that works on behalf and for and is paid by that principal. Additionally, if you're a realtor, you have a fiduciary duty to that principal, which means a fiduciary duty means that I, as an agent, have to put your best interests above my best interests. So I am always legally and morally and ethically, I am focused on your best interest and what is the right thing for you. Okay, so how's that work in reality? In reality, I help you and I help you prepare the orders that you're going to give to somebody. I help you prepare the orders you're going to give to the inspector, or the orders you're going to give to the title company, or maybe the orders you're going to give to the bank. But you are the one that actually gives those orders, and you're the one that actually signs those orders. So I'll prepare the documents for you, present them to you, we'll explain them, and then you execute and sign those orders. So agents are not in charge. We're not in charge, and we don't make decisions. You are paying me to help you be in charge. So I'm getting paid to do a great job of helping you be in charge and helping you make those decisions. So at the end of the day, at the end of our transaction, we have as smooth as can be, as quickly as can be, and you get the very best financially, you get the very best deal possible during your buying and selling process. All right. Let me give you an example of how an agent and principal work together when making a decision. And this is how I make all decisions. Every decision we have to make, this is the process. First of all, let's say that we're under contract and we find some cracks in the foundation. the inspector comes back and there's some hairline cracks in the foundation. Okay, so first of all, I'll let you know the problem. Say on page 23 of the inspection report, there are some little hairline cracks on the foundation. Okay, then I'm going to remind you of your goal. Remember, we sat down for coffee a month ago, and you told me real explicitly your goal was to get the best deal possible. You want to get the best deal on this house. Or maybe your goal was a quick transaction because you need to spend that money for your college fund, and that's coming up next month. Or maybe you just want this to be simple and easy process. So I'm going to remind you what those goals are. Then I'm going to give you the options that you have and the possible outcomes of those options. So I'll say we could just continue to close and not worry about the cracks, and then maybe later on down the line those cracks will expand or there'll be some issues with it. I could say we could walk away from this house. Walk away, we'll have to go through the whole new process again, and it's likely if we're looking at 1950s houses, we'll find more cracks in the next house. Okay. I'd say we could ask for $100,000 off the listing price, but here's what will probably happen. Maybe the other seller will walk away. So I'll give you the options and then kind of what I see as possible outcomes of those options. And then I'll likely recommend an option to you. And after I recommend an option, I'll say whatever you choose, we'll talk through it, whatever you choose, as long as it's moral and ethical and legal, will be your options, I support you 100%. This is not my house. This is your house. I'm enabling you to buy this house. I'm helping you buy this house. I'm working on behalf of you to buy this house. So whatever you decide, you want to walk away, you want to ask for concessions, you want to get more inspections, whatever you decide, here's the possible outcomes. But I support you 100% because I am working on your behalf and I want you to have the very best experience possible. And that is what an agent does. That's a job of an agent and our work. And that is why we are paid by you to give you that very best experience possible. All right, we're getting toward the end. Instead of a tale of two cities, we've got a tale of three home prices. Now, you might have thought that your home just had one price. No. It actually has three prices. I'll tell you what those are. So the first price is the sale price. And that is where a willing buyer and a willing seller meet and agree on a price that we can sell the home at. Now, that price is not determined until the very end, so it's not a very useful price to think about. There's two other prices I want you to think about. Second price is the perceived value. And perceived value is what you think that your house is worth and what a seller would think that their house is worth. So you close your eyes and you say, I think that house is worth about whatever. That's your perceived value. The third number is super powerful. And the third number is your listing price. And that's the price that the principal, you, after you talk with me, decide to market your house at. It's a pretty powerful number. I'll tell you why. What if we take a house where you think the house is worth $500,000, the perceived value, and I say, yeah, it's probably about $500,000, 503, we'll say. And your agent says, hey, why don't we market this house at $450,000? Whoa, why would we do that? I tell you what. If we market it at $450,000, what is the first thing that's going to happen? Well, a lot of people are going to look at it and they'll say, man, the perceived value of that house seems to be a whole lot more than the listing price. I'm interested. Let me talk to my agent. Let me put in an offer. Let me go walk through the house. Let me go send the house to my friends. Oh, I'm interested in learning more about this house. So, after 3 or 4 or 5 days, agent will call and say, hey, I'd like to put in an offer on this house. And I, as the seller's agent, will say, well, that's great. I just want to let you know we've had a lot of interest in this house. I currently have 2 offers in hand. I've got another offer that's coming tomorrow. And my seller and I are going to sit down on Wednesday morning and we're going to decide which offer we take. Oh boy. Now, anybody that wants to buy this house now knows there's some significant competition going on. And so they know if the perceived value of a house is $500,000, they better have a pretty good offer if they want that offer to get accepted. So, now the opposite is also true. What if perceived value is $500,000, but you market it at $550,000? Well, the opposite's going to happen. Much like day-old bread, it's just going to get staler and staler and staler. And then you're going to start getting lowball offers. And then after 6 months, you might have to reduce the price again, which then shows, the value wasn't really there. And you're going to have to chase the market down to a final selling price. Okay? So I want you to think of another number. And this is the number that you can get by marketing. So your house doesn't have one number. House for More has a range of numbers based off of the level of marketing that you do. So if you take your house and you want to sell it and you take some pictures on your cell phone and you don't stage it and you don't cut the lawn, and you don't put up Facebook ads and you don't do YouTube videos on it, you'll get one price. Now, let's say you do just the opposite and you cut the yard really nice, put down a lot of nice mulch on it, declutter the house, stage it up a bit, make sure everything's clean, do some nice open houses, some excellent marketing on YouTube and all the other channels. What do you think that price is going to be? I don't know what the price will be, but it will certainly be higher. The more you market the house, certainly the higher your perceived value of the house will be, and higher the sale price will be. So the discussion, the 102 discussion that you're going to need to have with your agent is, how do you balance the marketing expenses with the perceived value that the house is going to gain? So that's the hour discussion that you, me, or you and your agent will need to sit down over coffee and have that discussion. How do we balance marketing with the gain that the house is going to cost? All right. Okay, very first slide of the deck I said was the most important. I'd say this one is the second most important. And it talks to how I do business and my philosophy of business. Okay, so I'd like to ask, what are these kids doing? Well, it looks like they're playing soccer, but I think that they're doing something deeper than that. I think that they're playing a game in such a way that they want to keep playing that game. So that soccer game could easily turn into dodgeball, or keep away, or basketball, or a big wrestling match on the grass. But what they're doing is they are playing in such a way that they want to continue the game playing. And that's how I do business in Newburgh. So I live in Newburgh. Newburgh is my community. Newburgh is my family. The people I bump into at Fred Meyer's with are here at Newburgh. And so I do business, I negotiate in such a way that I do it that I keep first and foremost that these are my neighbors and this is my community. And that these people that I am negotiating with, I am going to continue to live with them in community. Now, that doesn't mean that we can go easy. That doesn't mean that we can't ask for a lot. That doesn't mean that we can't negotiate based off price. No problem asking somebody to make hard concessions and make difficult choices. No problem at all. No problem walking away from a deal. No problem at all. But I do it, and I do that hard negotiation always with good faith and always with the acknowledgement that these are my neighbors and my friends and my community that I am working with. So that, even after we've negotiated hard, so that I can continue to see them at Fred Meyer's. And who knows, when they then turn around and sell that house, they may realize how hard I negotiated and want me on their side for their next purchase. So, my philosophy of business is and will always be, I do business in such a way that I want you to keep coming back and doing business with me. So thank you so much for spending nearly last half an hour with me. During this process, I hope that you've heard my heart. And I've hoped that you've heard my heart and that I want you to have a great experience during this process. I also hope that you've heard my heart and that I want to have a meaningful relationship with you and truly help you during your biggest, most likely biggest purchase of your lifetime. So wish you all the best, be blessed, and if something I've said resonates with you, I'd love to sit down, coffee, get to know you a little more, and see if my services are a good fit for you. Okay, thank you.